What's going on, everybody? Welcome back from the earlier show. We have two new guests with me today. We've got the prop man himself, Chief. What's going on, dude? Lots that Reed Detmers just took down all my DFS teams early, took down the props. Not great. We got to win it back tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Reed definitely stunk up the place for us today. Gave up 10 hits in that game. I don't know if anybody was following like every little. Gave up 10 hits. I was very shocked, but the more I think about it, it wasn't the wrong play. Detroit is a little bit better against lefties, so I mean it is what it is. I'm not going to cry or spill milk. You know why? There's more money that we have access to tonight with a 9-game slate. So hopefully,
I told you pre-show it'd be too easy if they let us win every single day. But we're going to try to do that tonight. Cards, what's going on, man?
Yeah, not much. Fun little slate here tonight, so it should be an entertaining one. We've got pretty ugly weather here today in the Midwest. It's been raining all day. So what better way to do it than to try to win some money with some baseball tonight?
Yeah, so let's kind of get right into it. We got a big slate today. We do have a couple of changes. The Marlins scratched, who was it? Braxton. They scratched their starting pitcher. They got a right-hander in there today. So some of these Dodgers, I think, are going to jump up in ownership as the algorithms catch up to that. But Justin, I guess I'll start with you for cash games today. There's a quartet of pitchers you can probably make a case for today between Musgrove, Gilbert, Strider if you want to get a little frisky, Javier if you want to get a little frisky. What are you thinking today for starting pitching at the top?
Yeah, well, up top is basically all there is. I mean, if you're looking to try to go cheap tonight, you're basically just rolling the dice because you've got Tyler Beatty, you've got Justin Dunn, you've got Coors Field, you've got Chris Archer, you've got James Caprillion, who hasn't been good this year. You've got Dakota Hudson, who can't throw strikes. You've got Bumgarner against the Cardinals, who crushed lefties. You've got Josiah Gray against the Padres. I mean, there's no value pitching tonight. Again, we're not going to be able to make value pitching just appear out of thin air. It's just not there tonight. Outside of maybe David Peterson, who I guess is okay, but I don't really love. He's basically the guy if you're looking to go away from those top four. Dustin May was great in his rehab starts, but he only threw 70 pitches in his last rehab start, and this is his first start of the year, and it's not like he's discounted, so you can't really play him either. And so you're left with those four guys that you mentioned, and those are basically your options outside of just throwing a dart and trying to get cute. So Musgrove is my favorite. The Padres have somehow lost the first two games of the series to the Nationals. He's got the best overall profile and matchup combination. You look at Strider and Javier, they have higher strikeout rates, but they also have to face good offenses. They're facing each other with Houston and Atlanta. So obviously tough matchups there on both sides. I think they're fine for GPPs. I'd maybe give Strider the slight edge with Houston's being on the road and Alvarez being out of the lineup tonight. I think the better matchup goes to Strider. So if you were picking between those two, I think he's the guy. I think Logan Gilbert is fine as well. I know his numbers haven't been great lately, but you look at his last 5 starts, he had to face the Yankees twice before they forgot how to hit. And then he had to face Houston twice. So he's had some really tough matchups. He gets the A's tonight, obviously a better matchup there. So I think my rankings have kind of gone Musgrove, then Strider, then Gilbert, and not much exposure to the lower tier of pitching tonight. I just don't think it's there. I think you have to save with the bats, and that's where I'm going. Double spend on DraftKings as well. I just don't see the value pitching tonight.
Chief, are you in the same, at least from the tournament perspective? If you want some of the expensive bats today, you might have to make a couple concessions, or are you foregoing that in just doing the double stud pitchers? Because I sort of agree with Justin. I mean, if you get 10, you don't need these guys on FanDuel, but if you get like 10 DraftKings points from, I mean, maybe like 15, right, from one of these random guys towards the bottom, that's all you're going to need, because a lot of these are just not in really good spots tonight.
Yeah, I probably go Logan Gilbert a little bit more than I should. In the 8K range, he's kind of popping for me as my favorite guy. I know Texas, they're kind of scuffling a bit here. Gilbert hasn't, been stellar recently, but it's Texas. I think I'm going to give him a shot at 8K just to get a little bit more room. He would be my let's call it pivot from the top guys. Clearly, the top guys are the top guys for a reason. Do I think you need to play Musgrove and probably a combination of Strider or Javier? Absolutely. Javier has a better strikeout matchup. Strider probably has a little bit better stuff. They're close enough to where I think you play Musgrove and maybe you play them both, just kind of split the difference. But Logan Gilbert is absolutely my favorite. But I mean, he's 8K. He's not the bottom of the barrel, but he's absolutely my favorite.
Yeah, the Joe Musgrove, Logan Gilbert Giant stack is what? 500% of everyone's lineups today in tournaments on DraftKings.
But he's the best play in that range for sure.
Yeah, it's just going to be a very, very common lineup today. There's just so low price on the Giants bats that you can just make that sort of work over there. If you had to pick a best of the rest, Chief, right? Do you have one of these gas cans that can possibly – Cards mentioned David Peterson. I think we would all agree he's basically, the fifth or sixth pitcher. After that, throw all these guys in a hat and pick a name, and I think you're just as likely to get the highest fantasy point performer tonight. Do you have one that you think might stand out a little bit more?
Ironically, I think if I'm going to go down cheap, look, man, this is not going to feel great, okay? This is going to sound terrible. You're not going to like this at all. I think I just go all the way down to Justin Dunn against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's terrible. And, I mean, they've made a ton of bottom feeder pitchers look like superstars, i.e. Graham Ashcraft last night. I think if you're going to play, let's say, as an example, Glenn Otto, you might as well play Dunn because I think their outcomes are really similar considering the circumstance. Falter probably has a little bit more stuff than any of these guys.
There was a tweet too. The manager said they want him to go 6 or 7 innings tonight. I don't know if you saw that, but that just came out maybe about a half an hour ago. Yeah,
but I'm saying so if the Mets light him up, are they going to keep letting him pitch? You know what I'm saying? Who knows? Falter may be in the running, but remember, I don't like any of these guys. The only thing that I think is in his favor is he is a lefty. The Mets don't hit lefties as well, and I'm just saying as well. They're still going to be fine. Perhaps he has enough upside to get you 15 fantasy points, and that might be enough.
All right.
But that's it. You asked me to find the vomit pitching. I found 2. That's it.
Yeah, it's quite a mess down there if you're looking to go cheap today. Cards, quick on offense. Maybe not. We can talk a little bit more from the tournament perspective. I'll throw it to Chief too. So we've got the Giants who are just a little bit too cheap across the board. How high do you think their ownership's going to get on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 game slate? Are the Giants going to be the stack that wins it tonight? Because it just looks like you can jam these guys on all sites very easily while still getting other bets that you want tonight. It seems like all the algorithms, all the projections, everything's going to force that in with a top pitcher. What's your overall take on them as from a tournament perspective and ownership?
Well, they'll be higher on DraftKings because that's where they're cheaper. Most all of their bats outside of a couple are like under 3,500 on DraftKings. On Fanduel, I don't think they'll be quite as chalky because everybody's 2,800 or higher. Quite a few over, 3.2K. So they won't be as popular on Fanduel, but DraftKings, like you mentioned, because you need 2 pitchers. and B, it's a smaller slate than what we had last night, and C, there is no value pitching, so it's not like you can, take all the high-end bats. You're going to have the chalk there. Even though they kind of failed last night, the run total is still like 6.2. I'm kind of indifferent on whether or not you need to go there. I do think there are other really interesting spots tonight. I think the Cardinals are interesting. I think the Mets are interesting. Contrary to what Will said, I think Justin Dunn could be the worst pitcher in the major leagues. I know the Pirates have made, a lot of pitchers look good, but Justin Dunn has 111 MLB innings. So it's not like that's a small sample size. The dude's made 27 major league starts and has a 6.07 xFIP and a 15% walk rate. So if you're looking for a team, if anybody's going to implode, Dunn could certainly implode, and the Pirates are cheap. So, you can take the other approach of, maybe you roster Dunn and go with the expensive bats, or you can go with the expensive pitchers and play the Pirates. That's the route I am taking tonight, for better or worse. I can't judge Will because he's calling Dunn the vomit pitcher. I'll call the Pirates the vomit stack. It's not like they're exciting.
Chief, there's MMA tonight. You gonna not come back with a knockout?
He can't come back with a knockout because there's no defending Justin Dunn. It's basically just saying the Pirates suck, and they do.
Right. First of all, listen, I do not like Justin Dunn. He asked, could we get squeeze blood out of a turnip? And Justin Dunn came out.
Chief, I'm going to throw the Giants to you because I know you like to fade cores, and they're going to be popular tonight. What offenses are you substituting?
Yeah, I'm definitely fading cores tonight. And it's not, God, they're so cheap, and it's probably the wrong play, but that ownership is going to be through the roof. I actually really, really, really like St. Louis today. Against Bumgarner, I think this is a really good spot for them on both sides. On DK, you got to pay for some of these guys. Like you're going to have to spend to get Goldschmidt. You'll have to spend up and get Arenado. Like these aren't cheap bats, but I think you can get away with it. Dylan Carlson's 3,800. Pujols is 2K if you want to get some relief, but you won't be able to play Goldschmidt, so you won't be playing him. Paul DeJong's 3,900. You get a cheap catcher in not Knizner. Is that it? Knizner?
It's
Knizner at 2.2K. Lars Nootbaar at the bottom of this order. I know it's lefty, but I think that's a good spot. And then guess what? Right on the other side, you've got the Diamondbacks against Dakota Hudson in a similar situation. I do agree with Justin on the Pirates as well, but I think this game could have a few bats that light up the scoreboard tonight. So that's one of my favorite ones that is a little bit off the beat path. Like when you look at Goldschmidt's ownership, he's only at 13%, Arenado only at 10%, and then everybody else on this team is under 10 pretty significantly. So I like them a lot. I have a lot of Twins interest because Glenn Otto is just going to walk like 10 batters tonight. And so I'm hoping that he walks the right person and we get a Kepler home run or we get a Polanco home run. Like this team is very cheap as well, especially Nick Gordon in the outfield at 2K, lefty righty. Otto's going to walk 3 guys tonight, I think. I mean, I think we agree with that, especially the top of this order. They're fairly patient. Arraez, Correa, Polanco. So I like them a lot as well. Those are my teams that are, let's call it off the beaten path, if you will.
I like the Dodgers too. Maybe not in the higher stakes, but the low stakes stuff, people might not adjust as quickly. We've had a little bit of time, but now Brian Hoying is starting for the Marlins. He's a righty, nothing really special about him in the minor league. So these Dodgers projections, I'm sure they haven't adjusted enough, in my opinion. I really like the Dodgers in the lower stake stuff.
By the way, for anybody who may have had the over in the Cubs game this afternoon, you kiss your lucky stars because that game was
we get a 2-run homer.
Well, they both teams scored again in the 11th, so now it's 5-5. So this was a game that was 2-1 in the 8th, and then the Cubs tied it, and then both teams scored in the 10th, and then both teams scored in the 11th. So now it's 5-5. So again, it was like 2-1 in the 8th, and the over was 9 or 9.5, depending on when and where you bet it. But yes, good fortune for those that had.
Where's Devin? High five to Devin. We got it. All right. All right. There he is. There he's popping in there. All right. Let's jump into some offense here, position by position. We spent a little bit of time talking about stuff, so we'll try to go through these as quickly as possible. Catcher tonight, probably not using one on FanDuel. Cash games cards, I got the money. I'm getting jiggy with it. I'm playing Will Smith.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's definitely the top option. You mentioned that these Dodgers projections probably steering higher with the pitching change for Miami, and it's fairly significant. I mean, Braxton Garrett had pretty good numbers this year, so I wasn't super interested in the Dodgers earlier in the day. Definitely a little more interested now. I think Real Muto's fine. Of course, Varsho on FanDuel, but you can still play him in the outfield as well. Because Will and I are in agreement there. I think that Cardinals game against the Diamondbacks, you could get some offense on both sides. So I think Will Smith is the top option. If you look into, you can always like home run hunt with the lower owned guy like Cal Raleigh. I think he's fine against Caprillion as well. But not a deep pool for me at catcher tonight, and probably only those 3 or 4 guys.
Chief, you got any tournament options?
I like those guys. Excuse me, man. Getting choked up here.
That's what happens when you talk about Don.
Have to eat your words really fast. I think if you're playing some of these other top tier catchers, you're just hoping you get a home run. I think for me, I would say Gary Sanchez at the bottom against Otto, 3,100, really cheap, part of your Minnesota stack. I like him a lot.
All right. First base, we were all going to be clicking Brandon Belt cards. He's down in the bottom of the order. Are we still clicking Brandon Belt, or are we spending some money and maybe getting, a Goldschmidt, a Freddie Freeman type in there?
I still think Belt is fine because he's so cheap everywhere. And if that lowers his ownership, I think that's even better in tournaments. I still like him better than Wilmer Flores if you're choosing between the two. So I'm still fine with Belt. To me, if you're spending up, if you're going anywhere else, frankly, I think the Cardinals are your other options. I think either you punt with Pujols, who still has somehow fantastic numbers against lefties, or you go all the way up and get Goldschmidt, who has ridiculous numbers against lefties. So those are the choices. I think it's San Francisco, or it's Goldie, or it's Pujols, and that's really about it. You can go elsewhere in tournaments, and Freeman and Alonso and guys like that are fine pivots. But in cash games, I think your choices are between Giants and Goldschmidt or even Pujols. I think is cash viable as a punt. It's really not as necessary on FanDuel because you don't really need the cheap first baseman over there. But he is 2K on DraftKings, and that has some value if you're looking to double spend at pitcher.
Chief, if we're all going to be playing, Flores, Freeman, Goldschmidt, and Belt, anyone else stand out to you?
I don't hate Walker. I don't hate Olsen against Javier. Like, if just trying to get slightly different, Ty France against Caprillion. I do like Luis Arias, even though he's not really a home run guy. He's got to get on base 2 or 3 times tonight against Otto. So I think, especially for your Minnesota stacks, and I keep mentioning them, but at 4K, he's a guy that he's not going to hit a home run and get there. He's going to do other things. Hit a double, hit a single, get brought home, come back around. A man's on, he hits a double, or steal a base or something, which he won't steal as much as some of the other guys. But at 4K, I like him a lot.
All right. Second base cards, what are we doing?
All right. Not the most glamorous position tonight. So, the FanDuel, it's been all week. Marcus Semien stuck at 2,400, so you can play him. He did have a good game the other night, so it's not been his best season. I get it if you want to not play him in tournaments because he hasn't been good and he's the most popular second baseman. I think India is right there as well. I mean, he's only 300 more than Semien on FanDuel. They're both a little more expensive on DraftKings. So on DK, I think it's really wide open as to what you want to do at second base, just because the top of the position kind of stinks tonight. So maybe I think this is the position where if you're going to play Wilmer Flores, you put him at second. He's second base eligible on both FanDuel and DraftKings. You can spend up to be a little different with Brandon Drury, but I don't know. I don't have a strong preference on DraftKings. Maybe this is the position you fill in last. I suppose Polanco is okay as well. But on FanDuel, I'm probably sticking with Semien or India at their prices over there.
Yeah, lots of way you can go in tournaments, Chief, because there's no real standout. There's just a bunch of guys sort of all jammed together with, I think it's pretty much all the guys cards just mentioned here. Do you have a favorite out of all that pack?
I mean, I like Polanco a lot. 4K, these Minnesota guys are guys I definitely like. I mean, of course, Tommy Edman, I like him a lot as well against Bumgarner. Flores is 4,100. Like, just all these guys in this kind of interesting 4K group. That's kind of where I am. I think those are some of the best options.
All right. Third base. This is, I found I really want to play Arenado, but I don't know. I'm running out of money cards. Is he, I think he's obviously going to be worth it. You've got Machado. I think I would play Arenado against Bumgarner instead of Machado against Gray 100 out of 100 times. I'm finding myself saving some money. Are you doing the same, or are you trying to get up to a guy like Arenado?
Yeah, I mean, I like Arenado a lot, and the top end of third base is really weak today. Like, you had a bunch of guys play in the earlier games. Jose Ramirez isn't on the slate. Devers isn't on the slate. Guys that we would normally consider that top tier of third base. You basically have Machado and Arenado, Bregman and Riley with tough matchups against good pitchers. So I agree. I think Arenado is the play if you're spending up. If you're looking to go cheap, I mean, you do have Marcano leading off for the Pirates, who we've talked about, obviously, at 2,400 on FanDuel. He's only outfield eligible on DK, so you have to play him outfield over there. You do have JD Davis as a value as well if you're looking to go with the Giants. But that's basically third. I think it's Arenado, Marcano on FanDuel, JD Davis if you're going cheap in cash games.
All right, before we get to shortstop, just want to remind you guys, NFL preseason is going strong. You can get access to everything for that, along with NFL Premium for $2.99. You see PSU fans up on the screen there. One of the better preseason minds. You can get access to all of his stuff, along with everything, Lineup HQ, Gridiron IQ, all the articles, everything all season long for $2.99 if you're interested in football. Who isn't interested in football? It's pretty much all I've been thinking about recently. Doing all the season-long props is sort of my fun thing at the moment. Let's get to shortstop. Oh, actually, Chief, third base. What's up?
Yeah, man. I mean, Arenado's my guy tonight at 5,400. Just feels like smash play here at third base. I don't hate Max Muncy at 4,400 as well. Don't mind Eugenio Suarez, who has a little bit of pop, but man, it's Arenado season day against Bumgarner.
Shortstop cards, cash games. Lots of ways I think you can end up going here. You got Brandon Crawford dirt cheap on DraftKings. You've got a couple guys along with Crawford in the mix on FanDuel.
Yeah, Crawford will definitely be the popular choice on DraftKings because of the salary. On FanDuel, it's funny right now, if you sort by projected ownership on FanDuel, the top guys are Pirates, which I don't know if I've ever seen. Like, nothing wrong with O'Neal Cruz, who could be a future star, but it's not like he's been putting up great numbers. And Rodolfo Castro, again, he's Rodolfo Castro when these guys are hitting 5 and 6 for the Pirates. But it's just the bad pitcher versus bad offense that we've talked about at length. And they're fine on FanDuel because of the salary. You can spend up here, but like if my choice was between saving at third and spending at short or vice versa, I think I'd spend at third with Arenado and save here as opposed to spending for Trey Turner or Seager. I think Correa could be a nice compromise if you've got like mid-range price remaining, but number of different ways you can go depending on salary, but I think I'd prefer to go cheap here with Cruz or Crawford. And then if it helps me get like Arenado at third as opposed to spending up at short. But Turner, Seager, Correa are fine if you have the money.
All right, Chief, 30 seconds. What are we doing at shortstop for tournaments?
I think you're playing Correa.
I like that.
Under 30 seconds.
Quick and to the point. All right, let's get to outfield. Get your questions in, guys. Go to the MLB Crunch Time Discord for your premium members. And then if you're in YouTube, we will get to those questions after we go to our Discord. The outfield, quite a few ways you've got. There were Angels in the outfield in the early slate. Now there's Giants in the outfield. There's Pirates in the outfield. There's Tyler O'Neill in the outfield. That seems to be, you mix those together, cards, and you got a good cash game lineup.
Yeah, definitely a number of different ways you can go here. I think O'Neill would be one of my first choices, even though he struggled, hits lefties better. I do like Brian Reynolds a lot. Like if there's one Pirate that I feel at least comfortable with, even, without considering the matchup, Reynolds makes the most sense. You've got the Giants guys as well. Peterson's hitting cleanup tonight. And don't forget, the Dodgers get a bump with their matchup. I think Varsho is fine. The one kind of play that it's definitely not the cash play on DraftKings because he's really expensive. But in tournaments tonight, I really like Julio Rodriguez. You look at Caprillion splits. He's shown reverse splits this year. And I like the right-handed power bats for the Mariners. I haven't really talked about him all that much during the show, but can kind of kill two birds with one stone. You get some home run calls there as well. Rodriguez, Eugenio Suarez, Mitch Haniger, I think are really interesting potential home run calls tonight.
Chief, in tournaments, what are we looking at?
I mean, man, I typically try to stick to my stats. I will say I think Juan Soto has some serious upside tonight against Gray, who has struggled against lefties a lot more. At 6,300, I think he goes way under owned here. I'm looking, I was about 18%. Okay, not as low as I thought, but he's a guy that I definitely like. Varsho at 4,900 is a guy that I really like. In terms of the Dodgers, I like Cody Bellinger tonight at 3,900, bottom of the order if you're stacking the Dodgers. He's another good guy I think that you should get in there. I don't have to sell Giants. Alec Thomas is at the bottom of this order against Hudson. You've got Dylan Carlson leading off. But, it's just a plethora of guys that are cheap and affordable. I don't hate Jesse Winker at 4K. I know he's been awful this season, but against Caprillion, I don't hate him as well. If you're kind of into a sneaky Seattle stack, I think he's another good one to look at.
All right, we're going to go to Crunch Time, the channel in Discord, answer some questions. Carolina guy went ham at the start of the show. He wants to know your FanDuel favorite single-entry pitcher, Chief, and then he wants to know a Philly stack tonight. Can get it done in a tournament.
Don't want to play the Phillies. Favorite FanDuel pitcher, to me, it's a toss-up between Musgrove and Strider for the price.
All right, let's see here. NBA DFS wanted to know FanDuel cash. India and Corey Seager or Castro and Arenado? Cards, I'll throw that to you.
Well, I mentioned I like getting Arenado and then going cheaper at short, so I think I got to go with Arenado and Castro.
All right. BJA Tom wanted to know DraftKings cash last outfielder. We're picking between Giants. You got Yastrzemski or Wade. Who do we got? Who do you prefer?
I think I'll go Yaz.
I'll lean that way as well. Yeah, less pinch hit risk, I would think as well. Let's see here. Apparently, Goldie has BVP in the favor as well. Looks like Goldie's coming up roses for any metric you can look at tonight.
Goldie, man. Oh, my gosh.
I don't think he needs the BVP at this point.
Yeah. Your son should be a happy man tonight, Justin. Real happy camper.
I did bet the Cardinals, Justin, so I don't want to mush you, but I do have the money line bet on them.
Well, that's the Cardinals are 14-3 since not trading for Juan Soto, and the Padres are 6-10 since trading for Juan Soto. So it's going well so far.
All right, a couple more questions in Discord. Yup, that's me. Want to know Dodgers and cash? So I'm completely. If you can't get Goldschmidt and you're looking for a first baseman, and you just need a couple $100 less, Freddie Freeman has to be towards the top of your list tonight. I like him. And Betts to me is one of the top overall plays of the slate, in my opinion. They're just expensive, and you can get to them. Freeman was the guy I landed on DraftKings, and I wanted to get Betts, but it's hard to pass up all that outfielder value. So
they're certainly fine. They're going to grade out better than they did a few hours ago for sure.
Yeah. Single entry stack, DraftKings. If you got to pick Jay's asking me, I'm going to throw it to Chief. You got one team in a single entry. It's definitely not going to be the Giants.
Minnesota.
Yeah, I like Minnesota. I'm going to go with the Dodgers, and that'll really mix it up because they're very expensive. At least Betts and Freeman are, so that'll be a little bit different. I'm definitely on the Dodgers big time tonight. Prodigy wanted to know FanDuel single entry. Arias and Gamble or Semien and Jock Peterson?
I like Arias, but I think Semien Jock is the best play.
Yeah, I think that's that one as well. Here's a tough one. People are deciding. I went with both, but Achilles wanted to know Brian Reynolds or Tyler O'Neill if you can only pick one tonight.
I think Reynolds is the better play, especially in cash. O'Neill still has a pretty hole in his swing. He's been striking out a ton. He's not safe. Certainly in tournaments you can make the other argument, but Reynolds grades out a little better.
All right, so we're gonna hit lock in just a second. We'll take a couple more questions, and I'll throw some bets if any of you have sports books. We can get a couple bets in after the lineup locks. Canna or Ruff to finish a Mets stack tonight in a tournament, Chief?
Man, see, when you ask me these on the spot, I need play IQ up. Off the top of my head, I'm just going to go Canna.
All right.
Ruff could absolutely be the play, but let's go Canna.
GDE want to know Peterson on a FanDuel tournament, and I think he's referring to the pitcher, not the bat.
I don't really want to do it.
He's like the only guy you'd want to use to save money, so I understand it.
Well, I mean, you could use what's his face? He's 8K.
He can use Justin Dunn.
5,900.
He could, yeah. But I'm not using Justin. I wouldn't use Justin Dunn on FanDuel at all.
All right. We've hit lineup lock. We're going to keep taking questions. The only game that's locked is Cincinnati-Pittsburgh, so we've still got a couple more to go through here. Amateur Hour wanted to know DraftKings tournament. Batty? Who's Batty? Is this my forgetting of a player? Oh, Brett Batty. All right. So I did forget about him. And Correa or Jose Miranda and Brandon Crawford. So this is for a tournament.
Give me the first pair.
So Brett Batty and Correa or Jose Miranda and Brandon Crawford.
Give me number one.
Single entry, better one-off, Reynolds or Haniger. So that's locked. So we're actually going to skip over that one. Amateur Hour, Jake Cave and Correa or Crawford and Kepler. We're diving deep. I think the Correa, you're going to lean Correa. You seem to like him quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely going Cave and Correa.
All right.
I'm also trying to stay away from, if we're in tournaments, I'm trying to get away from so many San Francisco bats.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be all over DraftKings tonight. Achilles, your question, you got Reynolds in there, so I'm just going to skip over that. It was JP Crawford. So JP Crawford and Max Kepler.
I'm still going with Correa, but understood.
Yeah, I would do that one. Let's see here. I don't see any of that. So we got a couple minutes. So some of you guys might be on FanDuel. They do sponsor the show. It's a little late tonight to get into the single entry series, but we do have that going for baseball. A great tournament structure. If you haven't been playing it, don't feel like you've missed out. You can still qualify for the live final. All you got to do is win one of the weeks. And you don't have to play every day. You just got to play like 4 or 5 days and try to have a couple high scores. Make sure to check that out on FanDuel for baseball. And then bets tonight. What do we got? I got the Cardinals. They were like, let me see what I got them at, Cards, because I thought this was a little ridiculous when I looked at it today. So I'm staring at the Cardinals. Oh, I'm going to log in. They make you log in all the time to all these sites 24/7. So I got the Cardinals. This was very early in the day at minus 149. That seemed a little ridiculous to me tonight. That seemed like a good one. If I go take a look at them right now,
It's probably like minus 165.
It's still minus. I'm cheating on FanDuel right now, so I got it at minus 149, but I think it's around like minus 160 on FanDuel. That's like one of the bets of the night for me, honestly.
I don't know. I can't objectively bet the Cardinals because my usual approach is to bet against them if they get a lead in like a small bet against them to emotionally hedge against a collapse, which works occasionally. But I like those right-handed power bats for the Mariners. I think they're really interesting tonight against a reverse splits pitcher. It's also worth noting that Glenn Otto is a reverse splits guy too. So some of those right-handed bats for the Twins, like Correa, Buxton, obviously. I think those guys, like, there's some interesting home run bets that you can get tonight at like plus 350, plus 400.
Well, I'm pulled up, so I'm on FanDuel. I've got give me what you think some of these right-handed bats. I like playing this game with the other host here for Seattle. What do you think the home run prop should be at for some of these guys? There's definitely one. There's one I'm definitely going to bet for sure.
So between like Suarez, Haniger, and Rodriguez, we'll say.
Yep.
Like I would say plus 350. Rodriguez is probably a little lower, maybe plus 300.
320 Rodriguez, Haniger's 350. Suarez is 420. I hit
that's
Suarez,
an instant bet.
Yeah, I just bet that for sure.
Suarez is plus 330 in a couple of other locations. So plus 420 is good odds.
Yeah, right on. That's on the FanDuel app too. So they're at FanDuel. So yeah, maybe I didn't bet there, but I got you that one. Chief, you got anything? What props are you looking at tonight?
And then you've got price, which is about a lot. He gave us Suarez, Rodriguez, and Cal Raleigh. Their home run prop. I will say this on Prize Picks, you're getting Buxton, Sanchez, Correa, and Arias at home runs, but it's already locked now. They gave you all 4 of them. That was
not gonna do me any good now, Chief.
Yeah, I mean, it's just locked. I can't do anything. But in terms of what I have tonight, I kind of got this odd combination. I got Logan Gilbert today at 4.5. Mm-hmm. I also got him at 5. I am taking Braves Astros under first inning runs. Like that feels like a good one.
I bet that at like 2:00 this morning.
Yeah, I took Glenn Otto Hawks. He's at 2. I think he's going 3 or 4. Took him over. I actually took Spencer Strider over 92.5 pitches. And I know that feels like he doesn't typically go over that much, but my philosophy is he's facing Houston tonight. Houston's typically a tough team. I feel confident he's going to go at least 5 innings, and I think he ends 5 innings in the low 80s-ish. And so I think he comes back out for the 6th, and that pushes him over. I'm taking Madison Bumgarner over 1.5 walks as well. Those are pretty much my main ones in terms of those. And I took a lot of pitching. Like I've got Ryan Feltner under 86.5 pitches. I took Dustin May under 76.5, even though they're saying he could go 80. We've seen this with the Dodgers. Like he might throw 60 pitches tonight coming right off of the IL. So I thought them giving us 76.5 was good value. If he goes over, I lose, but I feel confident that he could absolutely be under 76.5, just coming off that last start. I think he went, 70 pitches, right? I think that's what it was. He went about 70 pitches. So I took the under there. I took Glenn Otto under 90.5 just because I think he's kind of going to get lit up. And then this one was more of a bat play, but Justin Dunn was at 74.5. The bat has him at around 85 tonight. So I said, well, I'll give that one a shot. So I put that one in like a 5 flex.
That's a lot of pitches for 2.5 innings.
Listen,
just messing with you, Chief. Just messing with you.
Like I said, that was just that play. You're looking through and the bat's got 85, and I'm like, well,
yeah, I want to throw out if any of you, I know I chase these sometimes because I don't think it's too bad. The FanDuel's got the same game parlay perks, so those are always a little fun to chase. I like to do the player performance doubles, so you can take I like Seattle, so I know Justin likes the bats, but I'm on Gilbert at 4 or 5 strikeouts. You pair that with the Seattle to win. You get close to even money on that. You throw 1 or 2 other games together. You can start putting some of those together to sort of hit the promotions that FanDuel is offering. So I do like the Seattle, Gilbert 5Ks in the win. I think it was plus money when I got it. It's probably a little lower than that now on FanDuel, but I do like that bet particularly well tonight. All right. I think we're going to get out of here. We covered DFS, props, sports bet. Lots to do tonight. Cards, I'm rooting for you big time. I need those Cardinals to pull through for me. And then Chief, I don't know if are you on Musgrove strikeouts 5.5? Voit got scratched. I don't know if that's good or bad.
That's bad, actually. Like we count on Voit for 2 of these strikeouts.
Yeah, I know.
So
that's going against us.
It almost got us last night. If Voit was in the lineup, I'm telling you right now, Snell absolutely goes over. I actually got Snell on the push last night. I didn't take him at 7.5. He dropped down to 7. I took him at 7. We got the push, and I wasn't taking it for the push, but it kind of ended up working out in my favor. But Luke Voit got scratched, and there went our extra 2 strikeouts to take him to 9.
If you're interested in props, go check out Chief's Prop Shop. It is free on Discord, the RotoGrinders Discord. Very, very smart people in there putting props in all day long on all the sites. Printing press if you follow the right people on there. And it's free. I can't believe it. Cards, you have yourself a good night. I'm going to go.
You guys as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go put a baby to sleep and then see if I can maybe sweat some sports bets for the rest of the night. So I hope everyone out there has a good night. For Chief and Justin, I'm Britt. Thanks for watching, and we out, Joe.